Hello and welcome to another battery upgrade. For this project we got a 1992 E-Z-GO TXT golf cart that belongs to one of my awesome neighbors here in South Texas. If you haven't watched the unboxing video I did of the batteries that I used for this project, I'll link it in the comments below, and maybe you should go take a look at that. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to spread this out into a bunch of individual videos this time. While I did have some folks watch the last series all the way through, it is a lot to ask. I understand that. And once you've seen one of these upgrades, any subsequent projects can probably get pretty boring for you. So I'm keeping this one to, it's just going to be this video, well, the unboxing previous video, and then this one. And that's going to be it. For this cart, we just looked things over initially, and I saw what was I could consider a unique installation of a switch. I'm not exactly sure what it was supposed to control, but I think it had to do with a second set of headlights. The high humidity here in South Texas had caused the metal bits in the switch housing to rust, and at this point it didn't appear to turn anything on or off anymore. You might also notice the ill-fitting headlight switch and the dated connector for the battery charger connection. Both items needed to be dealt with. We're not going to fix the headlight switch and do away with that connection. Had a little cute little 8-ball steering wheel doodad that needed some help. It really chewed up the steering wheel on there. I ended up using a little bit of leather to wrap the wheel, and then tightened it down. Seems to have taken care of things. The leather piece I used was just big enough to cover the scarred up portion of the wheel. The cart was completely dead when I went to get it and bring it home. Since it is an older cart, it does not have a tow drive switch to disengage the batteries, so when I plan to tow something like this, I just disconnect a battery cable to break the series connection. What I hadn't noticed when I did that was that the red cable connection that I've got an arrow pointing to here, I mean, I did see it had a lot of corrosion, but I had no idea it was completely rotted and wasn't connected at all. It was just laying there, so I would not have had to make that other disconnect, but I did, and it's done now. And also, you can see the rat's nest wiring that seems to just accumulate on older carts. Every owner either tinkers with the wiring, or some friend or relative of theirs does it for them. There's no way to tell who did what to this cart as far as wiring, but everything smaller than the battery cables just got cut out, and I started over with all new non-corroded wire. Everything on the 12-volt side gets replaced with 12-gauge stranded wire to make sure there's no issues with overcurrent. And there were more mystery wires up here all the way. This is under the driver's seat. There's these mystery wires, I believe, actually ran back to the taillights. But hey, let's take a closer look at that battery. That's right. There's a big old hole in the top of the battery. And also notice the lack of a battery cable connected to the positive terminal. Story time. What I was told was that there was a person that was trying to connect the battery charger to the cart. The individual had plugged the charger in first, so it was powered up, energized. Charger was plugged in, powered up. He ended up forcing the connector into place with reverse polarity. In other words, the connector was upside down. This battery essentially blew up. It broke the top open and it shot acid out of the broken area. The seat was in place. Had it not been in place, it very well could have gotten into that person's eyes or sinus cavities. He was a very lucky individual. However, with this battery blown up, this cart then became a 24-volt unit instead of a 36-volt. This put a huge strain on the remaining batteries. These golf carts don't really seem to require a whole lot of power to move them along, especially on a nice level ground or whatever. the 2 horsepower that's indicated here is pretty much standard for all the ones I've worked on. But if you think about it, it's came with 2 horsepower. It was designed with 6-volt lead acid batteries, and that's between the drivers, passengers, and those lead acid batteries, you're talking more than 400 pounds of cargo. I mean, that's the weight the cart needs to move. And so when you take away almost 300 pounds of that through lead acid batteries and replace it with lithium iron phosphate batteries, you can see that there's very likely, and still have the same amount of energy available, you can see that there's very likely you're going to get a lot more range out of it. The longevity is just going to be better overall. And I just want to make a point, yes, this is after the work was completed, but just to make a point about cable management and adding gadgets and doodads along the way to just tap off 12 volts here or there in a battery pack somewhere. It's important to keep the drive energy separate from the 12 volt energy. The 12 volt system needs to be isolated. Any and all drain or load on the drive pack is taken evenly from the batteries when you do this, and that way you're not taking more energy out of any one or group of batteries than any others. So when you do that, you're just stressing out the batteries that you're taking that extra load off of. So you need an even discharge coming out of there, and that's what this arrangement does. And lastly, the headlights on this one. There were 2 oblong lights at the bottom that were obvious add-ons and weren't of, well, shall we say, robust configuration. I think they were kind of some cheap ones that were picked up somewhere along the way. The upper lights are halogen, which, in my opinion, due to their higher power consumption, are not my first choice for an electric golf cart. But hey, that's what they have, so that's fine. And the LED lights below that had one of them for sure, the one picture here, had been damaged by driving into something at some point. The mounting brackets were crushed, bent, and quite rusty. So they did still function. I tested them later and they turned on, but it just didn't look good. So a family member of the owner brought me a couple of super bright LED spotlights, and so I took the old nasty looking ones off and installed these spots. And I have to say, the cart operator can now certainly see where they're going. I did power these up the night before I took the cart back and adjusted the beam angle so that oncoming traffic is not as likely to get bent out of shape over getting blinded by the lights. So, but it's very bright. And all right, I think that's all I've got for the before side of the upgrade. So let's go take a look at how things turned out. Hi there, just a quick walk around, got her done. This is the 1992 E-Z-GO TXT. They wanted a battery upgrade to lithium iron phosphate, and that's what they got. FormCharge brand charger for 36 volt. 3 12 volt 100 amp hour Lossage batteries, wired in series. Put in a accessory panel for 5 volt, 12 volt, and this just turns the panel on and off. There's also a battery monitor meter. I removed and reattached the 2 outer halogen headlights, and then the owner's, a family member of the owner brought me these 2 spotlights in the middle, so I've got those canted out to each side to kind of pick up. They're all aimed down, so we shouldn't have a traffic issue, but you can certainly see where you're going. And then over here I did my usual to separate the 36 volt pack from 12 volts is through this 36 volt relay. When the key, what the key is, there it is, when the key is turned on, this relay fires, and when it fires it takes 36 volts from the battery pack, the drive pack, and puts it on the input to this DC to DC voltage converter, also called a buck converter, and then it supplies 12 volts down to due to the simplicity of the circuits, I just used a 4-circuit terminal block this time, and then just a simple ground bus to pick up the negatives. This is all 12 volt stuff here. This wire goes out, goes to the headlight switch, and this wire goes out and goes to feeds the panel on the dash right there. And I think that's it. I've started using these Wago knockoffs. I think they call them lever nut connectors. whatever. But anyway, they speed the process up considerably. So, and then also I added the 12 volt, or not 12 volt, the AC receptacle. You just bring your extension cord out, plug it in, the charger comes on, and life is good. And that's it for this one.